Jan, how's the weather today at your end?
The weather is really nice today. The winter is ending and
Is it
spring is.
spring?
Yeah.
The problem I get when it's spring is pollen allergy. Allergy. Even all day today, I was suffering. We will take a minute for our audience to join us. I believe we have an audience now. Good evening and welcome to today's episode of the Persecution Report. The strength of any democracy is measured not by the power of its government, but by how effectively it protects the rights and dignity of the citizens. Recent reports from journalists and human rights organizations describe a disturbing pattern in Bangladesh. Large-scale arrests, Awami League supporters and party members are dying while in custody, and mob violence targeting political activists, especially Bangladesh Awami League supporters and members, and the minority communities. These are not isolated incidents. They raise a deeper and much more uncomfortable questions. Are these abuses happening despite the government, or are they happening because of institutions are allowing them to happen? When thousands are detained, when people die in custody, and when mob attack citizens without fear of consequences, the issue becomes one of state responsibility. Joining me today, two lawyers, Barrister Tapas Kanti Baul and Barrister Masud Akhter. And Anwar Sadar Jihan is our co-host from the United States. My first question to Barrister Masud Akhter. Dr. Barrister Akhter, if thousands of people are detained during security operations, what safeguards should exist to ensure these arrests and to ensure these are not arbitrary or politically motivated?
Thank you, Mr. Tonoy, for having me in the show and inviting me to discuss this very burning issue that is Bangladesh facing currently. There is an election on 12th of March. After that, people of Bangladesh expected a change, at least a change, especially to the human rights situation in Bangladesh. But unfortunately, the 18 months rule of then Yunus government is still continuing. The arbitrary arrest, the illegal arrest, or complete disregard to the rule of law is continuing today as we speak, which is very alarming and shocking. You see, Bangladesh is a country and it has a constitution, and supreme law of the country is the constitution of the country. And the constitution of Bangladesh safeguards any rights of any person who is arrested. An arbitrary arrest is not allowed under the Bangladeshi constitution. But what is happening, what we see, that is people are arrested, mass people are arrested without any reason. They're shown in arrest in false cases, fabricated cases, which is clear violation. And what is happening as well, they're not following the rule, the existing rule of the country, rule of the law. Our constitution, the constitution of Bangladesh, Article 31, 32, 33, especially safeguards the rights of a detainee, rights of a citizen when they are arrested, how somebody will be arrested and what rights they should be given and how they will be protected, how their rights should be protected. Unfortunately, though the constitution exists, but these protections are not given by the states. By doing so, the state is actually committing high crimes actually violating the constitutional provisions. And also Bangladesh, a country which is a signatory of various human rights documents of United Nations. And Bangladesh has a duty under its own constitution and under the human rights obligation as the signatory of the various human rights conventions of the United Nations to protect the rights of the people, those who are arrested. But Bangladesh, currently, we can see, very alarmed to see, that is, these rights are not protected, these rights are violated flagrantly everywhere. You see, people are detained. I give an example of how this detention is going on in a very wrong fashion and in a persecution way. It's not no longer it's a prosecution, it has become persecution. Let me give an example. Advocate Mahbub Ali, he is a senior advocate. He was a minister before the 2024 election. But after that election, he was defeated in his constituency. And so he was not part of the government after the 2024 election. And then he was arrested after the 5th of July. And then for no reason, he was not part of the government. He was not giving any order to anything. So he was arrested for shown arrest. That is, he was ordering somewhere in Habiganj, somewhere in other districts, he was ordering people to murder, which is ludicrous, which is unbelievable. So these sort of things are going on, and he is still continuing to be arrested. There is a journalist who is recently released. I just can't recollect his name. He's recently released, and he was literally arrested for sharing his food habit in the social media. So these sort of things are going on.
That was journalist Tonoy Salam gave, wasn't it?
Yes. I couldn't recollect his name. So, but the problem is the way it was continuing during the Yunus regime. This government is now 1 month old. It's continuing. A member of parliament, ex-member of parliament, was arrested for no reason from the Akhter party. He went for a party and he was arrested. So people are still arrested for false cases, whereas when people are bringing specific allegation against people, those who were involved in 5th of July, 5th of August massacre, specific allegations are brought. Court is not taking cognizance of those cases. So you can see the pattern is evolving. The pattern is the current regime, the current government, so-called democratically elected government, is not only failing to protect the rule of law, protect the constitutional provisions of Bangladesh, protect the rights of the people of the country, they are actually continuing. Actually, they are just a continuation of the last 18 months of the illegal Yunus regime, and they are continuing in the similar fashion. They're arresting people, they're arbitrarily arresting people, they're not giving their rights, and all these cases are false cases. And the mob violence, all these are continuing, which is a very sad situation, and all is taking notice of it. So if the government doesn't change its course, continue to persecute, especially the pro-liberation people, those who supported the liberation war of Bangladesh, they are now persecuted in Bangladesh. And actually, they are the majority of the people. They are the 65 to 70% people of the country. In the last election, if you see the proper estimate from various sources, it is 65 to 75% people abstained from taking part in the election. So they are not represented. They are majority, but their rights are violated by the current government as well. And we have seen in the parliament the violation of the complete disregard for our national anthem and disregard for the rule of law. So if it's continuing in the highest seat of the power, the parliament of the country, then what do you expect for ordinary people? Ordinary people are arrested. Lots of people are being detained arbitrarily for a long time. The law says somebody should be, there is a bail provision. People are not fleeing away. Even if you have arrested, they have the right to bail. Now, even what we are getting, that is in the Supreme Court, in the High Court, for some reason, bails are not granted, which is their legal right. These are their constitutional rights to be granted bail. If they can impose bail conditions, and people, if they follow the bail condition, they have the right to have the bail. But these rules are not at all followed, and what is happening is that rule of law is at the moment, still it looks like after the 12th March election, this government is following the footsteps of Yunus regime and continue Bangladesh to make it a big prison, especially for the Awami League supporters. Those people support Awami League. Not only the Awami League leaderships are persecuted, it's the ordinary people. Many people are framed wrongly. And you have seen Munjurul Hasan Panna, Masud Kamal, these journalists have, and this Anis Alamgir, those who are in the prison, they have given some accounts, which are horrifying accounts, how people are arrested. Ordinary people, those who have even not any political affiliation, are arrested, detained, and they are not released. They are not given bail, which is a serious violation of human rights, which is continuing in Bangladesh.
Just to add a couple of examples, just 2 days ago, Haji Rafiq, Vice President of Naugan District Awami League, was arrested. He was invited by the BNP people to an iftar party. Iftar party means, after the fasting of Ramadan, where all Muslims get together and they have their first bite of food. And he was arrested there. He was in hiding. They assured him of safety. So what was his crime? That during the election, BNP people asked him for help. And he denied. He said that my party is boycotting the election and I'm not taking part in any way in this election. That's why he is arrested. He was arrested 2 days ago. I know another person, Apel Mahmoud. He was arrested in front of Bangladesh Awami League's party office. And in his case file, they wrote, his crime was he was chanting slogans against the government. That harmed.
Just to add to another, the Amy, the girl, they were on the 7th of March. 7th of March, they were arrested for playing the historic, lecture of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the 7th March lecture. This is
UNESCO national UNESCO heritage.
It's an UNESCO heritage, and it is not illegal in the country. And they were playing that. Because of that, they were arrested. So, are they going to arrest the Constitution of Bangladesh? It looks like they have arrested the Constitution of Bangladesh. They are playing in a way. But the current government, they should have. We expected, that is BNP, who ruled the country previously. So they have experience. So we expected a better standard from them. However, the way they have arrested people, those who are playing 7th of March lecture of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which is a UNESCO heritage, and the people who conducted mob justice on them and who actually attacked them, they were not arrested, which is a very irony. I think the President, the Tariq Rahman's premiership is setting for the country is very wrong precedent, and it will come to haunt him down. Because these people, those people who tortured, who beaten Amy and her friend for playing the 7th March lecture of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, they have also chanted slogan against Tariq Rahman. So I'm telling, if Tariq Rahman continue to set this wrong precedent, it will not, these hooligans, these terrorists, those who are unleashed by Dr. Yunus, those who are ruling at the moment the country, they will come to hunt down the Prime Minister Tariq Rahman. If he thinks that is protecting them will give him aid, I'm telling, dear brother, your new Prime Minister, I respect you, whatever way you have become Prime Minister, but as you have taken the oath under the Constitution, you have right, you have taken the responsibility to protect the rights of the ordinary people, protect the Constitution. So if you fail in your rights, these people, those who don't believe in law, those people, those who don't give any toss to our Constitution, they will come and hunt you down, which will be very sad for you.
Jian, could you please give us more perspective about of the scenario?
Thank you, Tonoy Bhai, and special thanks to Barrister Baul and Barrister Akhter. So the first part of the presentation is about the arbitrary detention and what happened in the last 2 years. Because in last 2 years, there had been two transitions in government, one through a violent insurrection in July, and then through a sham staged election. But the culture of arbitrary detention that we have been seeing remains the same. What is arbitrary detention? Arbitrary detention refers to the arrest or detention of individuals without proper legal justification, due process, or fair trial protections. And in the last 18 months, last 2 years, what we have seen are these. Army League activists across the country were arbitrarily detained, arrested, were not given any bail, whereas rapists, terrorists who were previously convicted and were in jail were freed through bail. And it raised alarms through to all kind of human rights organizations. According to the latest report by Human Rights Watch, as reported by Daily Stars, thousands of people have been detained across the country and many have been denied bail, often without clear evidence or formal charges. In numerous cases, detainees have remained in custody for extended period of time while awaiting court proceedings. Legal experts and human rights advocates argue that this pattern undermines fundamental judicial safeguards and weakens public trust in the justice system. And in all these arrests and arbitrary detention, the law that the Yunus government and the current government are abusing is the so-called anti-terrorism law, which is there to safeguard Bangladesh from terrorists. And they are branding Awami League leaders and activists terrorists and arresting them without any justification. And as Barrister Akhter has said, that Bangladesh is party to various international bodies. So Bangladesh has a commitment to safeguard the human rights. And through this arbitrary detention, these governments are abusing these fundamental rights. We have seen under the Yunus government the so-called Operation Devil Hunt, Phase 1, where in only 20 days, 12,231 Awami League activists were arrested. And it is, I believe, this data is from last year, February. You can only imagine how many thousands the real number will be by now. There was another phase of Operation Devil Hunt, Phase 2, where in 5 days, 4,000 people were arrested, only in 5 days. Even after the repeated concerns by various international human rights organizations, such as the Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Watch, Committee to Protect Journalists, Civiscus, Trade International, all these human rights organizations have been raising alarms to Yunus, to the current government, but they could care less. They could care less. So, Mr. Alam, at the end, the issue of arbitrary detention and mass arrest in Bangladesh remains a significant challenge for democracy and the rule of law. While governments have a responsibility to maintain security and public order, these goals must be balanced with the protection of fundamental human rights. Ensuring fair legal process, protecting political freedoms, and respecting due processes are essential not only for the justice but also for the long-term stability and credibility of Bangladesh's democratic institutions. Back to you.
Thank you, Jihad. We see a pattern of mi- misuse of power, serious misuse of power, and it is systematic by the law enforcement agencies, isn't it, Barrister Baul? So, how serious is this concern, Barrister Baul?
When you say misuse of power, at first we have to understand that in Bangladesh, what is the source of power, right? According to the constitution, the source of power is the people of Bangladesh, right? And so, which means two things actually. First of all, every single administrative officer must abide by that, constitutional framework. They cannot go beyond the constitutional framework. So when we see anyone crossing that constitutional barrier or threshold, at that moment we can say that there is misuse of power. There is a sound coming. Can anyone, I mean, I don't know, probably someone's microphone needs to be switched off. Yes, it's a little bit better now. So, what is the yardstick to understand that whether anyone is misusing the power? Different constitutional case laws define that if anyone violates the fundamental rights chapter, I mean the third chapter of the constitution, where it is written that what is the fundamental rights. So if anyone crosses that fundamental rights, number one is then we can say that they are misusing of power. For example, already our guest Barrister Masud Akhter bhai already said that article 31, 32, he mentioned about that. Basically, in 31 and 32, the two prominent thing is right to life and your dignity of a person. These two has to be protected at all means. You cannot punish anyone beyond the scope of law. That is the nutshell. Together with that, another very important provision of constitution is article 27, equality before law. This is an umbrella provision because it says that you cannot discriminate anyone on the basis of their race, their religion, their nationality, their political belief. For nothing, you cannot discriminate them. That is, and if that is discriminated, then the authority who is discriminating them, they are violating the constitution, and there will be legal consequences for that. Now, this third part of the constitution, it is again, it relies on part 2 of the constitution, which is fundamental principles, which we know the fundamental principles of the constitutions. So if you want to interpret any part of the constitution or any part of the law, then you have to see that whether it is abiding by the principles of part 2, fundamental principles. For example, in fundamental principles chapter, it is written that in Bangladesh everything has to be done for the promotion of farmers, for the promotion of workers. There cannot be any political party who are abusing religion for gaining power. Article 12. These are written very clearly, and if it is done, definitely there is a misuse of power. Now, the third place where we have misuse of power is procedural law. For example, you know that Article 93, President has the ordinance making power. If these provisions are violated, then also there is a misuse of power. There is certain rights and duties defined by the constitution to the Prime Minister, to the President, to the Chief Justice of Bangladesh, to the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. And if any one of them violates these principles, then they are misusing of power. Now, especially at this moment, we are seeing that we all know that Yunus government has misused their power. We are not going to define it elaborately because that has been spoken on this program for a number of times. So we are going forward and discussing that the present government, the present BNP government, should not just continue that misuse of power. If they are continuing the misuse of power that is done by Yunus government, then actually,
Barrister Baul, just a relevant question. So it's
right.
apparent that you have expectation from BNP government.
I at first of all, this BNP government is an elected government. Yes, the election was illegal, the election was forced, there is no doubt about it. However, people have expectations when you claim that you are an elected government. You are sitting in a parliament. That means, and you have taken oath under the constitution of Bangladesh, not under any other law. So you have to abide by the provisions of the constitution. If the constitution says that the imprisonment of the journalists are illegal, then you have to say that this is illegal. Then you have to take all the necessary actions so that they can be released, so that they can be compensated. The government, it is not only on the part of the government to make laws, right? It is the duty of the government to make amends of the past. So in the past, Yunus government has violated the provisions of the constitution. So it is the duty of the BNP government to amend those provisions. But what we are seeing that BNP government is not amending those wrongs. Rather, they are adopting those wrongs as their own wrong, and they are continuing with this. Just simple example. The former Chief Justice of Bangladesh, he was released on bail on 5 cases, right? Soon after, there was a new case filed against him, and he was again arrested in the prison. We call it arrested in the jail gate. So and what was the case? What was the new case? This was again
Barrister Baul, this is not only the former Chief Justice, it's each and every Awami League members and the supporters.
I'm going to say that
arrested again and again and again.
Right. I was going to mention that after coming out of prison, Anis Alamgir, journalist, he said that prisons are full by the activists of Bangladesh Awami League. He said this cannot be rule of law. This cannot be natural justice, that you are putting everyone inside the prison just because of their affiliation with the political party. And which political party? Is the political party banned from doing politics in Bangladesh? No, they are not banned from doing politics in Bangladesh. So this situation must be addressed. Look at the situation of Professor Abul Barkat. He is very sick at this moment. Shariar Kabir is very aged. He cannot walk. There are photographs over there. But what is happening? The present government is continuing the wrongs, the glaring wrongs committed by the Yunus government. So they are equally liable for the violation of human rights of these persons. So now, this coming back to the power of misuse of power. Now, misuse of power is at the hand of the executive, power is at the hand of legislative, and power is at the hand of judiciary. So all 3 of them are actually violating these power. First of all, judiciary should have been working independently. That is the constitutional norm. But they are looking towards the executive, which is the law minister, which is I don't know who, that if they tell them to release them, then only then they will be released. Is this independence of judiciary? There is no. Have you seen a single judge in the Supreme Court of Bangladesh or in the International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh criticizing the misuse of power of any of the governments, of Yunus government or even BNP government? Why they are not criticizing the power? If you open the newspaper, let me say that last line, that during when Awami League government was in power, if you open the newspaper, every day you will find that some judges are criticizing the policies of the government. criticizing the police, criticizing the home ministry, criticizing the foreign ministry, the finance ministry. Everyone is criticizing because making critic was a freedom. Everybody could criticize the government. These independence or this freedom is not right there in Bangladesh. And if you criticize any government, even the Yunus government or the BNP government, you will be punished. Thank you.
So does that applies to High Court judges and Supreme Court judges as well? This fear?
So far, I think they are in fear, because if they were not in fear, they also know. Some of them were my colleagues. Some of them I studied with them together, right? I know from my practice that these judges know from the core of their heart that what is happening right now is illegal, is violation of constitution, right? So I have pleaded before some of the judges as a lawyer myself. So I have full faith on their knowledge, and I know how fearless they can be. But since they're silent now, right now, that can mean only one thing, that they're in fear of their dignity, they are in fear of their life. That's why they have totally mum at this moment.
Who bears the responsibility, Barrister Akhter? You're muted.
In our country, our judiciary, our police force, they don't work independently. They take, unfortunately, they take order directly from the sitting government. So the ultimate responsibility goes to the chief executive of that sitting government, the prime minister. The ultimate responsibility goes to the government of at the time. So what we see, that is, after the so-called March election, the BNP government came to power with absolute majority. But their lack of intention, their desire not to follow the constitution is becoming very obvious. And it is like breaking the daylight. That is, it is now clear to the people that is what kind of government pattern they are going to follow. It looks like they are very soon, the 18 months of Yunus government's failures and abuse of power and abuse of human rights, I think BNP just not going to own it, BNP going to inherit it. Not only inherit it, they are going to implement it. It looks like they are going to continue the illegality, they are going to continue the persecution of the pro-liberation war people. If BNP continues that, they will be satisfying very small minority of people. If BNP wants to remain in power, BNP has a risk because they are trying to satisfy those people, those who support Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh. So if you want to satisfy the people of Jamaat-e-Islami supporters, go ahead, brothers. Go ahead. You will be only appeasing those people, but you will be alienating the majority of the people, those who strongly believe in independence of Bangladesh, those who are pro-independence, and those who believe in the independence of Bangladesh. So BNP is following, and all the responsibility goes to BNP because
those who support a Bangladesh, secular Bangladesh. When we say pro-independence, in today's term, that means a secular Bangladesh. A Bangladesh,
of course, those who, especially Mr. Tonoy, I say this term, that is those who believe in, that is, we want to make Bangladesh which is livable by everyone.
Exactly.
Is serving the people of people. We have differences. We don't want to make it a theological state. The people of Bangladesh never fought for the independence because theological state Pakistan failed. Is still failing. So they opted for, the people of Bangladesh opted for a country, a secular state where all religion will be respected, equally protected, and followed. But religion will not be the defining force of peoples. Now, what is going on? the BNP government, the way they are performing this 1 month, I haven't personally been not criticizing too much BNP government because I wanted to give them a breathing space. But what we see, the morning lights shows the day, how the day will go on, how the day will break in. It looks like they are following the pattern. And this is very worrisome development for the country. Because if this route follows, BNP own existence will be at risk. Because it's appeasing the fundamentalists, it's appeasing the terrorists, it's appeasing the religious dogmatics in such a way, they will eventually take over. Any secular element that's left in BNP will no longer be there. So BNP policy, if the BNP Tariq Rahman follows the policy to appeasing these fundamentalists, appeasing these religious zealots, then what will happen? One day the existence of BNP will be seriously at risk, and it will be Jamaat and its cohorts who will be positioning themselves in that segment of the population, those who supports fundamentalism. But majority Bangladeshis, the majority Bengalis do not support fundamentalism. So the government is in a wrong directions, and whatever they're doing by arresting our Maliks, by arresting ordinary people, you see this bad practice. That is somebody getting bail, then you are shown arrest in a false fabricated case from the jail gate. What it shows? See, the BNP must understand they are not living in an isolated island. Now we live in a global village, and it's a time of social media. Everything is reported. Even if you control your normal media, your broadcasting media, but everything is now available to the world stage. So today and tomorrow, you will come under serious scrutiny, which perhaps Yunus government has, because it has gone now, has escaped. You will not be able to escape. And the problem with the BNP will be that is even its people, those who wants BNP to be secular and to follow rule of law, they will go away from the BNP. It only will be hardliners, and the hardliners have a party. The terrorist group has a party, that's the Jamaat-e-Islam, and Jamaat-e-Islam will gain from it. So BNP needs to make a choice. That is whether they want to see a pluralist Bangladesh where Awami League, BNP, they work together to bring Bangladesh. You see, when BNP claim, that is, if they want to say the Ziaur Rahman proclaim the independence, what they say, though he proclaimed independence on behalf of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which is well documented. Even BNP people should listen to the proclamation by the Declaration of Independence in the voice of Ziaur Rahman. They will see he is declaring independence on behalf of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. If they want to have some sort of, that is their pro-independence, some sort of credentials, they need to work with the pro-independence people. They need to give them a space, not isolated them, not alienated them. What they're doing, anybody talking about independence, 7th March, 26th March, 21st, 21 February, all these things, our milestone, they are actually persecuting them. So there, if BNP continue to promote Osman Hadi type people in our country, then BNP will get the support from those people. But when these people will wake up, that is, they have better supporter for those causes than BNP, then where will BNP go? So I ask and request and ask BNP to come into senses. That is, if want to see Bangladesh a country which is governable, very soon if BNP continue to appease these murderers, these NCP members, which I class, they are the terrorists. They have a specific allegation against them. This Nahid Islam, this Arbitrary Alam, this what is Shojib Bhuya, all these people, they have specific allegations, and many of them have actually confessed killing police. If BNP fails to prosecute those people who have killed the police, if BNP continue to persecute the people, those who are seeking justice in the country, BNP will not be alienating only that their moderate supporters, they will be also alienating the whole country and the entire ethos of the country. So I urge that is BNP to come to common senses and come out from the course of Dr. Yunus and try to govern the country in a way where rule of law is at least respected, where people are given, if there is a case against a person, but he has a legal right, he has a constitutional right to get bail, people should be given bail at least. So if it is not followed through, I find that is the people of Bangladesh will rise against those tyrannies, and it will be difficult for any government. When the people rises, the government will have to be very careful to protect their position in the country.
From 2001 to 2005, last time BNP was ruling the country, while government, this period of time in the history of Bangladesh is marked by a rise of terrorism. We have seen the rise of JMB, and they're terrorizing people. We have seen BNP leaders, even ministers, were supporting and facilitating JMB terrorism. We have seen bombings in every courtyard of the country. We have seen bombings in our festivals. What we see right now, BNP is probably going to the same direction. Would that be a right perspective, first of all? Is BNP going to the same direction?
Can you repeat the question?
What we have seen, like last time, BNP's rule is marked by rise of terrorism in Bangladesh. And is BNP choosing the same path?
It's really too early to comment on that. However, there are certain symptoms, right? For example, the first symptom is, Hizbut Tahrir and Huji, these parties, leaders, they are meeting the law minister. There is a picture out. And then they're in the Iftar party of Bangladesh Nationalist Party. The Prime Minister himself is talking with them as if he is under their protection. And even there is further photographs where it is seen that terrorists are putting their hands on the forehead of the Prime Minister as if providing him support. So these are the certain instructions or indicators which shows that at least they want to keep in touch with them. They don't want to totally banish them for the policy making. That is what is there, and that could be dangerous for Bangladesh, because you remember in 2001 what happened when you were giving a space to these terrorist outfits. You remember Bangla Bhai, and you remember that bombing in 64 districts in the district courts of Bangladesh, which is considered to be one of the safest place in the country. Now, these has clearly raised the expectation that these terrorist outfits will get more empowered, right? Will be empowered under BNP. There is no doubt about it. First of all, you remember that arms and ammunitions are lost from certain police stations, certain prisons, and they are not returned yet. So there will be certain implications. I think, Masud bhai, your microphone needs to be stopped because it is echoing. Yes, thank you. So I think I'll just repeat myself that since these arms and ammunitions are not returned, they will make a comeback on the streets of Bangladesh. Who will bring them back? Definitely these terrorist outlets, they are going to bring them back. And how they will bring it back? They will bring it back under the support of both BNP and Jamaat, because both of them has strong affiliation with these terrorist outfits. And interestingly, that for the first time in the history of Bangladesh, so many rajakars are in power, are in the parliament. So many Rajakar supporters are in police, are in army, and in different places. So definitely, they are going to give space to these terrorist outfits. And what does it mean? It means we will see in the coming days that more and more innocent people will die. More and more women and children will feel insecure to go out. And more our borders with India and Myanmar will be disputed, will become more insecure. And there will be no protection provided by the army or the Bangladesh border guard in the borders of Bangladesh, because they will be controlled by these terrorist outfits. So, yes, I would say that definitely BNP will increase their relationship and support to these terrorist outfits, and eventually these terrorist outfits actually will, will eat them. In Bangla, we call them. I forgot the exact English word. Perhaps Barrister Masud Bhai can help me with that. We call. Sorry, I remember that. It's called weeds, right? So weeds grow on trees, and then slowly the weeds kill the tree. So we will see the same thing happening here. We have seen this happening because
No,
once.
but however, Master Baul, yes, it is weird, but what we have seen in the entire political life of the party BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and Jamaat-e-Islami in after the independence, it is actually a symbiosis between them.
I,
So, the Jamaat-Islam lives from BNP, and sometimes it nourishes BNP as well. So it's a symbiosis between BNP, Jamaat Islami, and all other terrorist outfits in Bangladesh.
look, the our new generation viewers will understand this symbiosis much more better if you refer to the movie of Spider-Man, because
Yeah,
over there this symbiosis took place, and we have seen that this particular character called Venom is taking up its host. So Jamaat has actually taken up its host BNP long time ago, that we know. And we have seen the same thing when they secretly encroached Awami League as well. We have seen the reflection of it. We cannot deny. So definitely these these symbiosis will kill their host, and that's why probably BNP is not that much strong when they are speaking against Jamaat in the parliament, because they know that Jamaat, they are the host, and Jamaat is the symbiosis, and Jamaat controls almost 95% of BNP. So actually, from that perspective, I think we can say that there is a very unstable future for the citizens of Bangladesh.
Jihan, would you like to show us what's happening in terms of mob violence and extrajudicial killing as well?
Thank you, Tonoy bhai. First, let me respectfully disagree with the hope that Barrister Baul and Barrister Akhter has on BNP. This parliament, where war criminals convicted, death row convicts are there to speak, we cannot have any hope. I would like to echo Prime Minister Awami League Chief Sheikh Hasina and say that this parliament has no legal value. There needs to be a fair election, a fair parliament. Now, coming back to the reality, extrajudicial killings and custodial deaths have been a problem in Bangladesh for quite some time. But the human rights people who have earned their bread and butter for last 17 years, criticizing the extrajudicial killings and custodial deaths, they came in power, and we have seen the same trend to continue. It was Al Jazeera reported, it was as if it was the new rulers but old killers. That means extrajudicial killings and custodial deaths continue till this day in Bangladesh. Awami League has repeatedly urged for fair investigation into the custodial deaths of Awami League leaders. The number were only 24 last year in July, but by this December of 2025, it increased to 107 custodial deaths as reported by the ASK in New Age Time BD. 107 people died while in custody, and there were 38 extrajudicial killings. What is custodial killing? Custodial killing is killings when somebody is under the custody of the law enforcement or the state, and the law enforcement and state has a duty to ensure their safety. And the law enforcement for the last 18-20 months are failing to safeguard the safety of the inmates. We have seen senior minister dying and his dead body still being in handcuff under the Yunus regime. And now let's look at recent times. A Gaibandha AL leader, a local Awami League leader of Gaibandha, Samikul Islam, 60 years old, he died while incarcerated. And his family alleges lack of proper treatment and willful torture. We have seen minority Awami League leader Ramesh Chandra Sen. He also died while under custody, facing ill treatment while imprisoned. And then we have seen another minority Awami League leader and singer, Choki, same fate, dead while in custody. And in a latest spree, we have seen another Jubilee League activist in Chattogram facing the similar fate while in custody. I don't know whether these people, Mr. Alam, has any sort of right today in Bangladesh while they are being incarcerated. Addressing these issues is not only a matter of protecting the individual rights of these people, but also about safeguarding democratic institutions and social stability. A commitment to the rule of law and human rights will be crucial for Bangladesh because human rights are not selective. Human rights are universal. And the extrajudicial killings and custodial deaths that we have been seeing in Bangladesh for the last 2 years raise serious alarm. Back to you, Mr. Alam.
Barrister Akhter, what all this arbitrary detention, mob violence, custodial killing we are seeing is, of course, systematic. Do you think it's a policy of the current government? I mean, it's a fair tactic. You're muted, sir.
Yes, yes. What my understanding is that as the government is getting days, means is now nearly a month old, and initially we had some very cautious hope, but our hopes are fading seriously. And I agree with your co-host, that is the way this government is now behaving, and they're taking and they're connecting with the terrorist organization, which actually in their DNA, it looks like they're going to repeat in a very bad way or more purified way in their way, and to connect and to use the terrorist organizations to punish Awami League. But what they're forgetting, it looks like this is their policy now. Their policy is getting clearer every day, and from the speech of their State Minister for Home Affairs, their foreign ministers, their law and justice ministers, is becoming clearer. And some of the actions that you have, Mr. Tapas Baul has just stated, that is, the Prime Minister is connecting with those people, those who are in the wrong end of the country, those who actually want the country to fail, those who are linked with the terrorist organization. The problem is, if you play with fire, it's likely that you can catch fire. So if BNP want to repeat their regime from 2001 to 2005 and rule the country in the same fashion, bring the terrorist organization to punish Awami League, yes, you can punish Awami League, but Awami League is a political party which has strong followings in the ordinary people. The ordinary people rises, these people will not have any chance to withstand in front of the Awami League's ordinary people. So what I'm saying, that is, what is the pattern is developing. Unfortunately, BNP is walking in the wrong foot, walking in the wrong street, and it looks like it's their policy. It looks like they are going to divide the country more and more, and they are going to follow the footsteps of Dr. Muhammad Yunus and bring the country in such a disrepute that this country will lose its credibility in international stage. Our stature as a manufacturing hub for garment manufacturing will go. Many of the things are at serious risk. The financial well-being of the country is serious risk, the way BNP want to rule the country. If their aim is to punish Awami League, if their aim is to, they will be, I think, which is getting clearer day by day. That's what's their policy, and I agree with you that is, it looks like they have developed and devised their policy. That's how they want to keep Awami League out of the political sense. But it will be very difficult for them because the people, you see, in the street of
Awami League
Bangladesh,
is the party of people. Akhter, our time is very limited. We have only 3.
Just I'll finish with these things. Ordinary people are turning to Awami League for the development of the country, for the protection, for the rule of law, and for the security of the country. So if BNP makes their wrong moves, they will suffer, not Awami League. Awami League will rise and take over the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister. Barrister Tapas, on a different note, we know that the Constitution of Bangladesh is very specific about almost everything. Bangladesh Constitution of Bangladesh is very well written. So in terms of the oath of the current parliament, do you believe the Jamaat Islami members of the parliament, what they're claiming to be, are they a parliamentarian? Are they members of the parliament? Do they have legitimacy?
No, they do not have any legitimacy. They are not parliamentarians anymore. That is because they took the oath, the first oath, to protect the constitution under the constitution, and by the second oath, they are throwing the very constitution under the bus. So they, by the second oath, they are saying that we will not protect the constitution, rather we will destroy it. That's why they have lost the legitimacy to be member of parliament under Article 7 of the Constitution. I will just very quickly go back to one thing, that is misuse of power. I was looking right between our talks that under section 167 and subsection 5 of the CRPC, the judiciary has the right, both the magistrate court and the session judge, both of them have the power that if an investigation is not completed within 120 days, then they have to give bail to the accused persons, right? So by denying that, they are violating not only the constitution but also CRPC. That is also a glaring misuse of power. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister Baul. Human rights protection are not abstract principles. They exist to protect ordinary citizens from the misuse of power. When arrests appear arbitrary, when people die in custody, and when mobs attack without fear of consequences, society must ask difficult questions about accountability and the rule of law. Ultimately, the legitimacy of any government depends on its willingness to investigate abuses, punish wrongdoing, and ensure justice for victims. I would like to thank Barrister Masud Akhter, Barrister Tapas Kanti Baul, and Anwar Sadat Jihan for participating today. And thanks to our audience for joining us. See you again next week, same time, Sunday, 10:30 p.m. Bangladesh time.